This is a short video giving a useful guide on using roundabouts. The roundabout pictured in the highway code is a standard roundabout with a left turn, a right turn and a through road, just as if the roundabout has replaced a crossroads. Now we all know there are various shapes and sizes of roundabouts, so we need to take the advice in the highway code and then apply it to the various different shapes of roundabouts. And that's what we're going to have a look at in this video. So we'll have a look at what the highway code says you should do when using a roundabout. Just note that the word should means that it's not a legal requirement, but it is guidance. If you do go against the guidance and there is a collision, that may well go against you and you could be prosecuted with driving without due care and attention. When taking the first exit to the left, unless signs or markings indicate otherwise, signal left and approach in the left-hand lane. Keep to the left on the roundabout and continue in signalling left to leave. When taking an exit to the right or go in full circle, signal right and approach in the right-hand lane. Keep to the right on the roundabout until you need to change lanes to exit the roundabout. Signal left after you have passed the exit before the one you want. When taking an intermediate exit, unless signs or markings indicate otherwise, select the most appropriate lane on the approach to the roundabout. You should normally not need to signal on approach. Stay in this lane until you need to alter course to exit the roundabout. Signal left after you have passed the exit before the one you want. So on the roundabout shown in the picture here in the highway code, there's only one intermediate exit and that's effectively following the road ahead. On this one, the normal position would be to the left, although it's quite acceptable to use the right-hand lane, particularly if there are two lanes leaving the roundabout and if you need to do it, but it's often safer to stay to the left on this type of roundabout. If there's another intermediate exit a little bit further around, probably more appropriate to use the right-hand lane then, although either lane may be used by others, so you just have to be very aware of what other drivers are doing. Just one rule of thumb is to just avoid going further than halfway around the roundabout in the left-hand lane, particularly if you pass more than one exit, because other vehicles may not realize you're doing this and cut across you to leave. So let's now have a look at some of the problems that people face using roundabouts. And one of the main problems is after a right turn, moving from the right lane on the roundabout over to the left for the exit. This, of course, means being very aware of all other road users around you, and particularly on the left-hand side here as we move across to the left. Now, on a straight road, that's fairly straightforward. We just make good use of the left-hand door mirror and even the blind spot check, that area over our shoulder, over our left shoulder that is not visible by using the mirror. But of course, as we're steering round to the right, trying to maintain a safe position, it's very difficult to turn our attention to that left door mirror at times. So we have to have a certain approach. So we track the other vehicles as we move around the roundabout and we know where they are at all times. So as it's difficult to check the door mirrors whilst we're steering round corners, we need to pick out those moments when the steering wheel is fairly straight to be aware of other vehicles on the roundabout. These are shown on the diagram on a standard roundabout as checkpoints 1, 2 and 4. So checkpoint 1 is before we start dealing with the actual junction, just to find out what's coming up on our left hand side in this case. And then again at checkpoint 2, that's just before we start to steer right around the roundabout. We can look at the movement of any vehicle on our left hand side to try and find out what their intention is. And then as we come round, we get to checkpoint 4. And this is just before we unwind the steering. As we unwind it to steer left off the roundabout, the steering wheel is fairly straight and we can again double check to see what's coming up behind us. But by this time, we should already be fairly well aware of any other vehicles behind us on the roundabout. Now, checkpoint 3 is also important, and of course, we can see that out of the front windscreen as we approach that particular exit. Any vehicle joining there may well be just behind us as we want to leave, so we can try and look at the speed of approach, their intentions, and whether they're likely to be a problem to us. So next we'll have a look at a short video actually doing a right-hand turn at a roundabout for the third exit. I'll be approaching in the right-hand lane with a right signal on, and I will check the left-hand door mirror just before the junction to see what's coming up on my left-hand side. As we make a safe approach onto the roundabout, I will check the left door mirror again at this point, and then notice the white van is going to be my likely danger vehicle, if you like, the one that is likely to cause me the most problems for leaving the roundabout. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the movement of that vehicle as we leave. It's really important in these cases to get the left-hand signal on and your positioning just right to make sure that vehicle understands what you're intending to do. Now this video is taken from the same roundabout but from the blind spot of the vehicle. As we come round, we'll see the white van joining from the first exit, and then we notice that the driver is encroaching into the space I'm going to need to leave the roundabout. Now, I need to take control of this situation now. If I leave the right signal on just a second or two too long, the driver of the white vehicle may think I'm going on round. So I need to get it on at the very earliest opportunity and then just squeeze across gently to reinforce I want to leave that roundabout at the next exit. Now, of course, not all roundabouts are as simple as the one shown in the highway code, so we need to be able to apply the guidance in there to different shapes and sizes of roundabouts. We can use the signboards and sometimes lane markings to help us decide how to approach the roundabout. And our objective, of course, is to continue in the direction we want, but the main important objective should be to get there safely, of course. So always bear in mind that there are escape routes. If we get in the wrong lane, if it's the left lane, we can come off at a convenient safe exit and turn around and come back and try again. Or if it's in the right lane, we can always go round again and have another look. The speed of approach is really important. If we approach too fast, then we may not take in all the information we need, and we're more liable to do a sudden stop if we get confused or a sudden lane change. And this is what other vehicles can't often cope with. So we need to make our movements flow, if possible, if safe, and not do anything too suddenly. Stay in the lane you're in until you've checked it's safe to move. You may have noticed that some roundabouts are marked in a spiral fashion. This is where you identify the most appropriate lane on the approach for your exit and then stay in that lane throughout the roundabout. Don't cross lane lines. If the lane splits into two naturally, that means normally that both lanes go to your exit, but you would normally stay in the left-hand side. Just beware though that other vehicles don't always get it right and may come across into your lane, so you just need to be very aware of the movement of other vehicles again. Now I want to talk about the more complicated, in some ways, the gyratory systems, which were roundabouts, but now they've been replaced by a more complicated road layout to deal with the amount of traffic. And on the picture shown there, for example, to take the right turn towards Old Basing in the A30, you're directed to take the left lane on the approach and actually use the roundabout itself. Whereas the second exit, the through road to Newbury and Reading, you're directed to take a right lane approach, which takes you right through the centre of the roundabout. So you can see on this particular roundabout or gyratory system, the left two lanes actually take you onto the roundabout. So we have a left and a right turn as standard. But for the road which goes straight ahead, those vehicles don't get involved with the roundabout at all. It goes right through the middle. And of course, to keep this safe, you have a series of traffic lights to control those vehicles. So let's just summarize what we've looked at. First of all, with roundabouts, you need to understand the guidance in the highway code so you can apply it wherever you need to. Allow yourself time to read all the signs and lane markings and any other information on the approach. And always check it's safe before you move out of your lane. If you try to make steady progress and avoid any sudden changes of speed or direction, that will keep you nice and safe throughout the roundabout, as other drivers can cope with that if you make a mistake. If you're on the roundabout in the left-hand lane, always be aware of vehicles approaching on your right-hand side as you go past an exit. They may cut across you to leave at that exit. A rule of thumb would be to avoid going more than halfway round the roundabout in the left lane. If you're not sure where your exit is on the approach to a large roundabout, you can use the right-hand lane to go round once or twice to identify that exit so you can leave the roundabout safely. You should always maintain a good lane discipline, and the signal timing can be really crucial particularly when leaving from right turns. Well, we hope you found that video useful. If you're interested in seeing more videos on road safety issues, have a look at the homepage of the website and sign up to become a member, and then we can notify you when new videos are made and give you access to those videos.